This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside Stephen Simcox, we've got a fun-filled show planned for you today. Some hilarity is going to hopefully ensue. I mean, I can't promise it. Sometimes things land, sometimes they don't.
That's
Stephen.
true.
Sometimes they land.
That's what we've learned from every good SNL podcast. You can do it during dress, but you never know when the show happens what's going to go down.
Yeah. I mean, did you see the Beavis and Butthead sketch a couple weeks ago?
That was really good. I did see it.
Yeah. Heidi Gardner laughed during dress and then laughed again, even though she knew it was coming. She just couldn't get it out of her head. I
mean, they did look ridiculous.
Yeah. Mikey Day especially.
It was well done by the costume department.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, because of social media now, you can go see the costume department will put out Instagrams of here's how I did this.
Oh, okay. That's
and they had one that got so popular, the guy's well, here's how I did it. I built this and gave his lip a little the teeth that had this little thing.
Yeah, it was well done. I enjoyed that sketch. I always I know they don't encourage them to do it, but I love when they break mid sketch.
Yeah. Well, and it used to be a thing that Lauren hated. Mm-hmm. But now in this day and age, I'm sure he probably doesn't as much because it helps get them attention because it changed with Stefan. I think it changed with Stefan because that was kind of the thing is we want him to,
It became part of the character, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How there's a black Dracula named Blackula? Yes. Did you know there's a Jewish Dracula? Yes. What's his name? Jacob Applebaum. I mean,
or the time that Mulaney just made him say MTV's Dan Cortez 4 times in a row.
Yes.
That kept being the end of the
it's
tag.
Got everything. MTV's Dan Cortez. Yeah, all of that. So, welcome aboard. But, so today, in the next segment, we're going to use the wheel that we just got. Steven's going to spin the wheel. I have not seen what's on the wheel, but we are going to make bad recruiting pitches. Yes. So that's the bit we're going to do I'm going to do bad recruiting pitches. Steven's going to spin. Garrett, are you ready for this?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to
this. Yes. We're going to do bad recruiting pitches. And, so don't take offense to it. This is the worst recruiting pitch I can come up with. But I don't know what they are. I'm improvising the whole thing, so.
We discovered this last week. Paul can sell you on not going to a school.
Yes. Yeah.
And with his experience in the college football world, he feels like he can do this for everyone. So I made a point to name a lot of schools that on paper people would be like, oh, this place has everything. But Paul will show you that they don't.
Yeah, they don't. Not everywhere. And this will prepare if you are a parent of a recruitable athlete, this will either inform your decision not to go to a place, or when you hear these things from the opposition, you'll be like, oh, okay, well, that's just that's they saw this video and they're trying to dissuade me from going to X university. Again, I don't know any of them on the list. Stephen has made the whole list. None of us in this room have good handwriting, so please don't judge what it looks like on the wheel.
You'll get the gist.
Yes. My 4th grade teacher, who hated me because of my terrible handwriting, would be just mad. Mrs. Evans would be mad at all of us. But she's not here. She's probably rotting in hell. So she's a very mean lady.
My 5th grade teacher always made it a point to be like, you got to clean up your cursive because you're always going to have to write in cursive. Well, guess what, Miss Poli? Guess who hasn't wrote in cursive in about 20 years? This guy.
Other than to sign a check.
Yep. And even then, it's kind of sketchy because I don't always remember, but that's all I need to know.
I can make any on a touchpad, at the grocery store. I can draw anything. And believe me, I have. And it takes it.
Just cartoon characters.
I've done it like I was at a Disney resort for my wedding last year, and I signed all of them as Mickey Mouse, just Mickey Mouse, and then a squiggly line chasing Mickey Mouse. Whoop,
hey,
whoop, whoop.
They'll accept it.
That's okay, good deal.
They just need you to check the box.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I can make any kind of squiggly line we want. All right, let's talk about this will help lead us into the bad recruiting pitches, because hopefully some of these guys are getting good recruiting pitches right now. But there are still the portal closed officially yesterday, where you can't. Basketball portal closes today, so we'll probably do this for them tomorrow, Garrett. Just get ready. But basketball's also a whole lot harder to like wrap your arms around, because it feels like everybody's like, I'm declaring for the draft and going to be in the portal.
I also might work at Costco if that's the best option.
I'm going to declare for the draft. I'm going to enter the portal. Costco has great medical, so I'm going to be there until I make my decision. They really, they keep you right at a 40-hour work week or below and pay you competitive wages. It's a fantastic company. Costco, please sponsor us. Along with, listen, this next segment will be brought to you by BidetKing.com, who still has not responded. Actually, I applied to another bidet company just to see if they would come on. They said no so fast, and I wrote back like, you just made the biggest mistake of your life.
Should we name drop them now and chastise them, or not even give them the time of day?
I mean, I could, like, it had a fancy name, like Loud Bidet. I don't even know what it was. But I was like, if we can get one, then maybe I can put the pressure on Bidet King. Like,
right, yeah.
Like maybe I'm swinging for the fences too much early on. If I get a small, like a mom and pop bidet company, as opposed to, a massive bidet conglomerate, maybe I could. But again, there's no better person to push your product than me. I believe in it as strongly as I do the American Constitution.
Paul's like the Bear Alexander of bidet company. He's just hopping from one to the other.
Whoever, listen.
And wherever they're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I am. And I have no shame in my game.
Yeah, there's no shame in that.
But
it's important to see the world. That's important, Mr. Alexander.
A guy who's Bear Alexander, we thought was going to the portal, and then
he was like, "No, I didn't. I'm going to stay in a place for more than I'm going to sign a 24-month lease, guys.
Yeah. Really like this place. It sucks to move. I'm going to do that. No, here's what I think happened with Bear Alexander. I think whoever reported that story just had it ready to go, and
they just hit publish
and hit send, and then it was out there in the ether, and they just had to wait for him to say yes or no. And then when he said no, it's like, oh, okay. Well, I had sources that told me he was, because they just assumed he was going to do it.
Yeah, it was like a tweet in the drafts that just got sent out. I like the idea of Bear seeing that and being like, well, maybe I should hit the portal again.
Yeah.
He was considering it. Yeah. Like, I do enjoy kind of going around taking visits.
Yeah.
I get it. I would love taking visits. Don't you want to take visits, Garrett?
Hell yeah, I want to take visits.
Yeah, I want to go around.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's the best. I think that's part of the problem, though, is like you can now take unlimited visits. So, and it's that's the best part of being recruited, of the whole process, is like, please come here. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that girl. She was looking at you. Look at all this food. We're going to take you to the best steakhouse in town. Have whatever you want. Have 2 of them, 3 of them. We don't care. Doesn't matter. Please come here. And then you get there and you're like, wow, this is going to be great. And I can't wait to eat that steak again. And they're like, yeah, score a touchdown. Do that first.
How about some Tyson chicken nuggets?
Yeah. How about you go over to the feed bag that we have over here for you, which is the Nutrition Center. And you're going to get some stuff you like, no doubt about it. It's very high end. But, if you think you're going to really love it, it's probably not there. Yeah. And there's going to be a really muscle-bound guy yelling at you about protein shakes. So
get ready to learn Uncrustables, buddy.
Yeah.
Which I would eat Uncrustables all day. They could pay me in just Uncrustables. If they want to sponsor this show, come on.
We tried before.
We have tried.
We've tried before.
Oh, dang.
Smokey, I think, swayed by Charles Barkley.
He had a solid month run.
Yeah, of every day he was eating Uncrustable during the show. And then Barkley came out and he had that thing. He's like, the best food's Uncrustable. You tell me about it, they got Uncrustable. I love it. It don't have no crust. It's peanut butter and jelly. You eat it 2 seconds.
I did not have Paul doing a Barkley impression on my bingo card today.
It's pretty good,
though.
Yeah, I've been working on it for a while.
Yeah, I liked his Galveston bit the other day. I like how Charles is just tested up. Just teeing stuff up each week.
He's not all that wrong.
No, that's perfect.
I mean, my wife's family's from Galveston, and it's true. It's dirty water over there.
Yeah, y'all pretend you're at the beach. What's my favorite thing?
It's the beach you go to if your dad just got laid off or something.
All that oil runoff money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're going to take a vacation, guys.
Yeah. Hey, guys, ring out your towel into the into the engine here. I think it's 10W30, so we're good. So, all right. So, one intriguing player to start off in the portal days from James Madison. It's D'Angelo Pons. He's 5'9", 5'10", like 160, real small, but has clearly found his value and is going to get P5 offers. He came from Miami Chaminade. He was a 3-star prospect last year, but On3 now has him ranked as a 4-star prospect because he was so good. So that's someone to keep an eye on. I don't know how much you know about D'Angelo Pons and James Madison, Stephen, but this is a name that, like, I don't know how good he'll be in the next level, but I'm just telling the viewers here, when you see, like, your home team site going nuts because he's visiting, like, this is why.
Yeah, he's an explosive player. James Madison coming off a great season. And, I mean, this is kind of how it works now. You can, if you're not a highly ranked player out of high school, which means 3-star, which is fine, but he got a lot of attention because of what he did, you know, at a smaller level. Now he's going to get P5 offers, and, I mean, you can use them in a lot of different ways. So that's got to be tempting for schools and kind of the perfect fit because somewhat positionless, so you don't have to worry too much about, like, okay, am I – putting him in a crowded room because there's different ways to use him within the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Garrett, I want your opinion on this one as well. Stephen Franklin was excellent at UTSA. And then he got to Ole Miss, and he got hurt, and then he redshirted, and now he's out the door there. They brought in Juice Wells from South Carolina in the offseason, which is going to be really big for them. Their biggest offseason offensive move was Juice Wells. Most of their moves were on defense, which should be really, really good too. But there are some teams in Texas that need wide receivers. He's from Cedar Hill. I don't think the University of is really in the water on this one because they're kind of loaded that position. But A&M needs a receiver. TCU wouldn't say no to receiver. Tech wouldn't say no to receiver, even though they're a little bit better at that position maybe than the other two. But Houston definitely wouldn't say no. So, like, there are 4 or 5 places he could go here in this state at the P4 level and really – I mean, obviously Baylor – like, if he called up Baylor and was like, this is where I've always wanted to go, they'd be like, we have a place cleaned out for you already. Come on, let's go. So, like, any school except for, again, Texas, I think is really game for him. Now, there might be others out there. I mean, you know, who knows, like, that says, like, well, we can make it work, you know, here or, you know, we need this guy that jump in from other states. LSU would be one I think may take a peek at him because they just lost to –
outside of Kyron Lacey, I mean, there's plenty of room to work with. In the receiving
so
court.
So they have it. But, like, what do you guys think for Zachary Franklin where he might, like, wind up? And we don't really have any news on him just yet since it was just a couple days ago he entered the portal.
He was the hottest name in the portal last year at one point when he entered for sure. So I would definitely take a flyer on him. I think he could do better than this, but I feel like if I was Houston and Willie Fritz, I'd get on the phone right now just because you could sell him on, hey, you know, get closer to home. You can play in the Big 12. There's going to be plenty of opportunities here for you to catch the football. A&M would make a lot of sense, but we just kind of saw him in the SEC environment, and that didn't work. I know a lot of that was due to injury. And plus, Ole Miss just gives everybody money, which I think that's cool of them, but they really backload that roster. You know, I feel like a place like Houston would be a good change of pace for him if he's willing to sort of, I guess, take that step down in some ways and kind of be a leader at a place that's trying to grow and build.
Yeah. Another thing we can do, this will be for next week, let me do my impression of boosters at each school and what the stereotypical booster may be like, because every, like, NIL collective, I think of at Ole Miss, is just some guy going, well, Walter Nolan, as I live and breathe. Well, come on in. Get Walter a nice iced tea here, won't you? Oh, Walter, we would so love for you to come to Oxford. It would be wonderful. You see this stylish Lamborghini I got outside for you? Custom built. Even has your number painted on the side.
I just can't wait to see the bank crisis in a few years at Ole Miss when we figure out who's been borrowing money to pay all these deals.
Yeah. So I'm full, maybe that'll be next week is the NIL
and booster impressions.
Booster impressions. We'll do that next Wednesday. Please, son, come on in. We prepared your favorite meal for you here.
Yeah, what's Mississippi cuisine? I don't even know.
No, you know what? They've got one of the best places. Now it's a chain, but one of the best places I ever went was the original Doe's Eat place in Mississippi, and it was so good. So, but yeah, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Krista Ann. Krista Ann, please show Walter around the friendly confines of Oxford. We're going to take you to William Faulkner's house. It's just 5 miles from here. You can take your new Lamborghini. Please.
I'm imagining this man with a cane, even though he doesn't really need it. He just has it.
That's what I think.
It's part of the outfit.
So, but yeah, Zachary Franklin to me, Garrett, it's just like, it's so weird because I thought he was going to hit so hard at Ole Miss. He got hurt and didn't. Now, thankfully for him, he has another year of eligibility, and he can get that for the NFL. Maybe, and like part of it is sometimes you just shouldn't leave. Like one more year, UTSA, he probably would have, like right now, we'd be talking. Of course, he could have gotten hurt at either place, but one more year at UTSA, he'd have made some NIL money because Jeff Traylor found that available for him. Not as much as he would have made at Ole Miss, and
he could have also put up some great numbers, finished out Frank Harris's career with him as his number one receiver for God knows how many years they had that there.
Yeah.
With him, I know Baylor, I don't see that being a fit because their wide receiver depth is so limited on after this year. They have so many one and done guys there. So having Zachary Franklin come in the mix is with the one and done, I don't think it'd be a good fit for them. Houston, like Simi said, I think would be intriguing. Also, if he wanted to go back to the Metroplex, SMU, I don't know what their receiving core looks like right now with Lashley. But you're the ACC
he wouldn't say
now.
No.
I know.
I wouldn't say no.
So
they always got some dudes, but he would fit in there.
Yeah. So that TCU if you wanted to go home, but I think those two and probably Houston would be your best bets.
Yeah.
It is sort of a cautionary tale though, and I feel for the guys because it is such a tough decision. Like I know you're talking about potentially some huge money, better opportunities, a different place, but there's something to be said for man. If you could just finish out your career in a strong way at UTSA, you're probably getting drafted relatively high, get a chance in the NFL, and then you always have that place to come back to. And I'm sure he's still on good terms with that coaching staff, but it's just different when you leave.
Well, it also, I think it hinders you, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but if you go from UTSA to Ole Miss and you aren't able to pan out there, then what makes me think as a scout that you're going to be able to make the jump to the NFL? Why if you can't do that,
that's a good point.
Then why are you going to take a risk on you?
It does give you a case study, and maybe this guy can't cut it at the next level.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. I hope for the best for Zachary Franklin. I think he's a good kid, and so most of these are good kids. Like every now and again, there's a shit heel in there, but most of them are good kids. We have great news for Penny Boone.
You got him a home.
He's found a home.
All right.
Former Toledo and Maryland. You can't even really call him a former Louisville back because
at this point, no.
I mean, he spent a semester there in spring. Louisville had that problem because Tyler Barron, another guy we're going to talk about in a second, also went to Louisville for a semester. They had Wesley Walker went there for a semester, and then one other player whose name escapes me right now.
But do you remember Reuben Owens committed to Louisville?
Yeah.
And then he went, there's something weird going on
I think those
there.
Papa John's checks are bouncing.
something.
I don't know if he's actually involved anymore, but I feel like there's an NIL situation that's going to drift there.
Yeah, there's something up.
They had a bunch of guys in there after spring. I just feel like promises weren't met.
Yeah.
Is my read on it.
Yeah. By the way, Papa John was not involved there after his little snafu. He's not even involved with Papa John so much anymore publicly after he said, well, I've just got to go. I'm going to take some training to learn how to not use that word so much. And you're like, you need training not to? You're like, how much do you
counseling for that one, buddy?
How much do you use it?
You can just stop saying it.
I mean, if you're using it that much, you've got a big problem.
He also did that super weird interview where he was trying to be apologetic, but he was sweating profusely and talking about how he ate pizza for 50 straight days. Everybody was like, were you challenged to do that? Or is this just a personal choice? I don't know.
It's free, man. What do you want me to do?
He looked bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but Penny Boone on his way to UCF, and he'll play for Gus Malzahn.
Love that.
With KJ Jefferson. That is, they are putting together a nice little transfer class at UCF. Guys to get them. Look, they finished 6-7. If John Rice Plumlee plays every game last year, they're probably 7-5. I think. I mean, I don't think that would have been, but they're 2 games better. They were, maybe 8-5 if they win the bowl game. So. But yeah, I think they're a much better team. But yeah, you've got now KJ Jefferson on the roster, and as the quarterback, you've got some good wide receivers. RJ Harvey, a running back there already, and then you have a nice little 1-2 punch with RJ Harvey, who's more of a burner, and then Penny Boone, who's going to mash and get you first downs. Plus, what KJ Jefferson can do in the run game for you, I love it. I love what they've got going on at UCF right now, and should be kind of a fun offense to watch.
We'll have to see what their ceiling is, but it does feel like they've benefited more than just about anybody in this last round of realignment, getting that Power 5 invitation. And I don't know, I realized that KJ Jefferson had a really tough time at Arkansas last year. That team was a mess, but I really think he's a good quarterback still. I mean, he obviously has limitations, but I feel like a dude that can run with Gus Malzahn makes a ton of sense, and they're going to be in all their games this year. I mean, he's a talented player. Yeah,
I think so. Tyler Barron is another guy who, had a brief sojourn at Louisville, decided he, didn't like horse racing and left. I don't know. But he's very sought after. He was at Tennessee, then he was at Louisville. I guess he can go to Ole Miss now because I think he's a grad transfer.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, I think he's a grad transfer. But there's lots of school. He can push this as long as he wants until he gets to school because he's the best defensive end available. But again, I know we're going to see this a little bit, but just use the Louisville as a cautionary tale. Don't go to a place. If you're not totally sure you're going to go to a place, or you just did it because they Florida's going to give you $27,000, we'll give you $37,000. If you liked Florida better, take the $27,000.
Yeah, you're going to make the money up.
Again, this is not a per-year thing for a long time. This is not a long-term contract. No. You're not a pro athlete yet. You're not signing the contract that's going to make your whole life. This is for the next couple years.
Right.
And it's probably more than $27,000. I just threw that number out. But,
sure.
You get it we're going to do this. Well, if you like that other place better, it's just for a year. You're not going to have to pay for your food. You're not going to have to pay for your board. You're getting just basically cash to be there. You're going to live just fine. You're going to live fine. And that's, I think, the thing that they need to stop doing, because if you're just going to, I'm going to leave after the spring anyway. I don't really like Coach Brown all that much, or it's not my style. To me, that just you're complicating your life for no reason.
When you have such an uphill battle, when you go somewhere, you don't even get through really a semester, and then you're immediately leaving again. Because then every coach is like, okay, so you couldn't crack the 2 deep at whatever place, or you didn't like it, or you just decided you wanted up and leave. Now depth charts are kind of starting to form. Unless you're just an outstanding player, I'm really glad it worked out for Boone, but that's just a tough situation when you have to pick up and move really without even saying, hello to your new school.
Yeah. All right, Dominic Williams. Stephen, your mood just changed. Completely, there have been other things I could have said that you wouldn't have gotten as sad.
I miss him already.
I'd have been you're not allowed to see puppies for 2 years. And you'd have been well, it's going to be tough. But, it'll be 2 years and I'll
push
see puppy.
Through. Yeah.
I'll push through. And you're like, Dominic Williams. You're well, that's worse than the puppies thing. You can't even look at an Instagram picture of a puppy when you're feeling down. You can't.
It doesn't match this sadness.
No, it absolutely doesn't. He's
taking the SEC tour.
He's taking the SEC tour right now. Do you think he winds up at an SEC school, or do you think he winds up at Colorado?
I mean, Colorado is always a wild card. I feel like if he's actually serious about getting developed and getting to the next level, which based on what I know about him, I lean towards that, then he's got to end up at Texas or LSU. You want to be a big-time defensive lineman who's known for blowing up plays and causing havoc. That's where you need to go. Now, he'll get plenty of attention at Colorado, but he's just not going to get the same type of coaching and I think opportunities. So I feel like he ends up at an SEC school. I would bet on Texas if I had to make a bet right now. But, yeah, I mean, I know part of this, too, is, supposedly he was the highest compensated player at TCU. They tried multiple times to stave this off. They just couldn't do it. So I definitely think, the contract and the bag makes a huge difference here, and Colorado should have plenty of that with all the energy and hype around that program right now.
All right, so according to On3's Hayes Fawcett, here's the last one we'll talk about before we go to our recruiting pitches, because I don't know how long this is going to take. Is Cormani McClain. Obviously one of the top recruits in the country last year. And look, Dion has not had nice things to say about anybody walking at the door right now. But he was like, Cormani McClain's like, I wish him the best, but he's got to do better. Like, he has to work harder. And I believe that. Like, his even high school coach echoed that and said, yeah, I kind of thought this was a possibility. I mean, he said it happens to a lot of kids from Florida. Like, you are, the best athlete. He was the best athlete in Lakeland, Florida his whole life. So he got to cut the line in a lot of things where maybe somebody who was just slightly less of an athlete was like, well, you're good, but like, you're not Cormani good. So, you got
to show up to this.
You got to show up to this. You can do that. Like, he can show up to a high school football game, not practice all week because he's got a hamstring, and then like show up on Friday, have 3 picks, and he's like, oh, hamstring feels great now. Like I saw it happen when I was growing up there a lot. It happens everywhere. Florida is kind of a unique thing because it happens a lot there. Like Florida's problem is that you get so big time, and there were like so many big time schools that like come into Florida to recruit you. And that happens in Texas a bit too, but because Texas cares about high school football so much, there's so much of an expectation in your town, in your place where like, you better be lifting weights with everybody. You better be, doing those things. And then I think Texas guys, and Charlie Strong is the one who said this, hit their athletic peak before they're in college, maybe a little bit more because – as good as Lakeland is and as big of a deal high school program is, I promise you, they have 1/3 the resources funneled to football that say, Midway does, or like, Allen or something like that.
5A, 6A teams here, like basically college programming.
Yeah, I mean, like that's how they do it. So yeah, when you're like, you'd be great when you're 16, but by the time you're 20, you're kind of as good as you're going to be. Like everybody has as good as be. As where like, and if you're from
Iowa or something.
Or Belglade, Florida, which is like a dirt poor town in the Everglades that's put out unbelievable talent. Like you look at some of like NFL Hall of Famers from Belglade, but like they weren't getting protein shakes. Like, like maybe a coach was nice enough to go get a bottle of protein and give it to them. But like they had a weight room that had 2 benches, a squat rack, and like 17 mismatched dumbbells. Right. Like that's what they had. And so
Marcus Dupree special.
Yeah. So yeah, you just like
you just make it work.
Yeah, absolutely, like Rocky training in Russia. That's how it was. So it's a little bit of a different thing. But Hayes Fawcett says LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, Auburn, A&M, USC, UCF, USF, Georgia, UCLA, and Oregon have all reached out to him, as has Memphis.
It's a lot of contact.
Yes. He'll be able to go to wherever he wants to take visits. So,
well, I mean, I think it's good for Cormani, in the fact that he gets to really decide like what he wants to do now. Do you want to go back home and maybe get a little less tension on you and go somewhere where you can be? But I feel like for him, if you're trying to learn how to work and you want to become a leader, you probably want to end up somewhere where that's going to be, instilled, and you're encouraged to do that. So I hope if he can cut it, that he ends up at a place like, Georgia, where like they're going to push him. And if he can't make it happen, then he'll get left behind. But, maybe as a school that's kind of a wild card would be one closer to home where he can just kind of blend in and do his thing and still play at a high level. But yeah, he's an incredible talent, Paul. I mean, he like taking a flyer on him is the wrong term because he's played 1 year of football, but you're getting essentially a high school freshman.
Yeah.
Or a college freshman coming in.
Yeah, you really are. All right, when we come back, the wheel makes its debut. And this is really mostly going to be bad news for me. But I'm going to improv so you can get to see my improv skills that maybe you've only heard about, unless you've come to a show of 3 guys and a beer. But the wheel makes its debut, and I make bad recruiting pitches. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
All right, we are going to debut the Wheel of Doom.
Wheel of Doom. Wheel of Doom.
Now, this one's not so much doom-filled, but
Yeah.
we're going to spin the wheel here, and I'm going to give pitches for these schools. I can't really see this. I'm looking at the camera. I can kind of read some of them, but again, Stephen, all of us in here have the handwriting of a 9-year-old.
Yep.
So whatever, this is how it's going to look until we figure out a better way. So the first spin of the wheel, Garrett, just tell me.
I'll tell
where
you
it
who
lands.
you got. It is Roll Tide.
Alabama. Hey, do you want to feel like you just missed the boat on something? Like you showed up after the band went to rehab for the concert. You know, then go to Alabama. By the way, outside of this little area of Birmingham, and maybe in Mobile, there's not much in any direction. It's also very hard to get a tire changed in Alabama without having to buy 4. I know that from personal experience. If you want to see Nick Saban, but not actually be coached by Nick Saban, then do what, anybody who goes to a dinner can do and go to Alabama.
I like the idea of SEC coaches being like Alabama's like Queen without Freddie Mercury. It just, one, because that's a funny analogy, two, just telling a 17-year-old that and trying to see if it resonates with them in any way.
Yeah.
That's good though, Paul. I mean, it's tough because it's Alabama, but it's a different vibe now.
Yeah.
Like, did you see this video of the guy that says, I don't give a piss about nothing but the time.
Yeah.
And they had him like at spring practice.
Yes.
He was out there yelling at the kids.
Yeah.
Hey, what is this? Turn into Colorado overnight? Like
Yeah.
we're just inviting anybody to practice?
He's a very powerful influencer, though. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide. And go to DoorDash.com for all your meal deliveries. Because I love DoorDash when I'm watching the Tide.
Yep.
DoorDash.
What do you think Kalen DeBoer will do this year, like record-wise?
I think they'll be okay. I mean, they still have a lot of talent. I think Milroe will be good. They've really kind of – I think there's going to be a dip, though. I do think there's going to be a little dip because there's going to be so much adjustment. But I don't think that they've lost so much. And he's just such a damn good coach that, again, they made a really good hire. So, the real recruiting picture is look, Nick Saban was going to coach forever. When it came that time, we hired the guy who is, on the ascendancy is one of the best coaches in the country.
Yes.
You see what he's done everywhere. Everywhere he goes, he wins, and he wins quickly. So while there might be a little bit of a dip because they're used to Alabama, there might be a dip just because there's a 12-team playoff now.
That's true.
It's different things. You have to do this one. All right,
Paul.
Let's get another spin here.
Spin that wheel.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Well, this is one that was made to me. quite a few times. Do you want to feel like you're right at the finish line but never cross it? Do you want to have every single thing at your disposal for no reason at all? Do you want to walk around a fan base and like try to explain to them why you're not good, even though you don't know why you're not good? Do you not like trees?
Have you ever had the urge to be paid in oil money?
Yeah. Do you feel like you don't want to see female cheerleaders? Like it's just something that would bother you greatly to see on your own sideline. Do you want to learn very complicated and and ornate cheers and yells?
Yeah.
Are
you into weird chants that seem like they could be in a Hulu miniseries?
Yes. Do you want to be mad at the end of every season while still being able to tell people like, no, we have what it takes here to win a national championship, even though you know that that's not been true since before America entered World War II. Then Texas A&M, Giga Maggies, whoop.
I do feel like they made the right hire.
Yeah, I do.
I think they did.
I think A&M is at their best when they are. I think most places are like this. You have to find a coach and players and an attitude and a system that fits the vibe of your place. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers are always great when they're like blue collar, punch you in the mouth, like just tough ass dudes. You know, like anytime the Steelers get fancy,
doesn't work.
You know, A&M was at its best when they were the wrecking crew, when they were just tough and like the offensive line was big and tough and mean, and like the quarterbacks were afraid of nothing. You know, like those are the times that like they're good. Like they got a little taste of the flash with Johnny Manziel, and I think it, especially like recent Aggies have been like, oh, we need, like if we would just had it for 4 years, we'd have won a national championship at least once. And maybe that's true. Right now, they totally would have. Like, he would be the highest paid NIL guy you could possibly imagine. And it would never let him leave. Like, they're like, I'm going to go to Florida. No, you're not. Here's another $1 million. Like, we need you here. Like, it would be a huge, huge deal. So, but they need to be like, again, it's Bryan. Like, I make fun of it. Like, that's where my dad's from. Like, literally, he's from Bryan College Station. So, I have a family there. Like, it's a small, rural, like, place. You know, it's still, even though it's not technically an ag school, it was an ag school.
Right.
Like it has that core to it. So you have to have somebody who matches that and also doesn't like, they'll let the big timers be big time, but they're going to do the work on the field. And I think that's where Elko fits in. Like he's not, you know, he's not all about that flash. Like Jimbo was a little bit. Like he pretended like he wasn't, but he totally was. Kevin Sumlin was, like swag copter, you know, like those kind of things. That doesn't work at A&M. Like, you can have a helicopter and make it look cool and all that. But, like, it's one of those things that, like,
eventually
you have the right vibe, you know? Like, there weren't many guys that I thought, like, Mike Elko could do it. You know, there's a few, but, like, Mike Elko, he's got the right personality for it. He's a lot like R.C. Slocum, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think it's a good fit. They need to get back to just somebody who could coach. And, I mean, they're going to bring in talent. They're going to have the ability to get people just because of the resources they have. Like, it's got to come down to, you know, the X's and O's themselves. Yeah. And do you feel like Jimbo will ever coach again?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he's still pretty young, so, you know, we'll see. I mean, he didn't have to. I mean,
no, he doesn't.
Didn't have to do anything again.
Guess he can just go fish.
He could go jump into his Fat Thor era and be just fine. Yeah. So, all right, here we go.
Spin that wheel.
UCLA. Look, there's beautiful women, but there's beautiful women everywhere. And you're going to have beautiful women and not win. Also, this school does not care about football in the slightest. If basketball is good for any stretch of the amount of time, they will forget that football exists. Oh, hey, do you love Southern California traffic? Well, you're going to be in it every time you go to play a home game from Bel Air to Pasadena. Also, are you annoyed by full stadiums? Never going to happen if you go to UCLA because the stadium is way too big for them to play in. Also, do you like going to the grocery store and constantly getting hit up to sign some sort of petition? then Southern California is the place for you.
Do you have an urge to have your mediocre head coach take the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State? Because he'd rather do that.
Yes.
It probably pays better. UCLA is the place for you.
Yeah, exactly. UCLA, basketball school.
Who was the last exciting UCLA football player?
Oh, DTR.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
My first thought was Miles Jack. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
But other than DTR, yeah, you'd probably have to go back a while.
They've had some guys that have wound up in the league that have been like good little worker bees, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, you're right. It's not,
By setting the world on fire.
no, he's setting the world on fire. All right, let's spin again.
Spin that wheel.
It is Kansas State.
This is gonna be hard because I really crap.
You like Chris Kleiman. You like what they stand for.
I do. I like, again, Chris Kleiman is one of those dudes who I thought at A&M called up, it would have worked, But all right. Do you like Kansas City but feel like it's too big for you? Do you want all the frills of Kansas without any of the frills of Kansas? Do you like purple? Is it a color that goes with most of your wardrobe? Are you happy getting really close to being to the mountaintop only to lose the most important game of your season every single time it comes up? Do you want to know why people hate a guy named Sir Parker you've never heard of?
Do you want to go to a program that has the swag of your dad going to his job at 9 a.m. every morning? Just punctual, just getting it done.
Do you appreciate the reliability of the Ford Ranger? Then that's Kansas State. The Ford Ranger football programs. It'll get you there.
That's a hell of a tagline.
It's really hard to hate on K-State.
It is. This was a hard one.
They do it well, and they do it with less, Like, if they had the resources. That being said, I'm still mad at them for beating TCU in the Big 12 championship game, so I'm glad that happened. I'm glad we just took them down.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's payback.
All righty. Here we go.
Spin that wheel.
South Carolina.
Oh, this one's not hard. Would you like to go to a place that's never won anything in football? Literally nothing. They've won nothing. Nowhere, nothing. Sure, South Carolina's a beautiful place, but they've won literally nothing. Nothing. They've never won the SEC. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they wake up every morning going, thank God we're in this thing, because otherwise we'd be nowhere. South Carolina, they've won nothing.
Also, you're going to be called a Gamecock for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you like ironic hats that say Cox on them? Or non-ironic hats that say it?
It is amazing that their best era was, it was Spurrier's, swan song.
Like the Stephen Garcia era?
Steven Garcia. Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah. Was it Marshawn Lattimore? Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore. Horrible injury, but good player.
Yeah. So, yeah, they have a good,
their best player, Clowney, people were like, he shouldn't play. He shouldn't go play at South Carolina's last year because he might get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's a waste of time to go play at South Carolina. He should just go to the draft.
Here's the thing. The pitch I just made, I probably took it word for word from Mike Norvell, considering that, most of their best players the last couple of years, Jaheim Bell, Gilbert Edmond, they had 5 guys from South Carolina on their roster. So,
You're just getting it done there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go.
Spin that wheel.
Go Tigers.
LSU?
Yep.
Oh. Do you like New Orleans but don't want to live there? You want to feel like it's really, really sweaty here in February. Do you want to go, is that corn dogs? Is it corn dogs? But it's not corn dogs. I keep smelling corn dogs, but there's no goddamn corn dogs anywhere around. I don't know what that is. Do you like a fan base that gets not only drunk, but violently drunk, at least 6 hours before you've kicked off. On a bad day, at least 6 hours before you've kicked off.
Do you want to play for a total weirdo that nobody likes?
Damn.
Yes, he's got a lot of wins, but it's going to get awkward real fast. LSU, go Tigers. Yeah.
Who are the players? Like, I feel like you don't see a lot of guys. I guess the Kelsey brothers have talked about him on the podcast in a positive way occasionally. I've seen that. But I don't see a lot of former players who are just like, man, Brian Kelly did so much for me.
You're not going to. He's a fraud.
No, absolutely not.
But, I mean, he wins games.
Cool. Win a championship.
Neilio, South Carolina football's claim to fame. The movie The Program took place there.
Ooh, greatest sports movie ever.
But listen, here's another thing. Based on what I just said, do you know what movie The Program was based on?
Florida State.
Yeah. So even then, they shot it at South Carolina. It was about Florida State.
Florida State, yeah. One of the
That's
great.
what they do. They show Jaheim Bell that, like, by the way, you know this was shot here. I'm sure you recognize some of the scenery, but it's about us. So
One of the great South Carolina traditions, just being a placeholder for Florida State.
yeah. All right, here we go.
Spin that wheel.
We haven't doubled up yet. I'm probably going
I know.
jinx us.
Arkansas. Go for it.
Arkansas. Do you want to hear about how great the 70s were? It's the biggest moment in your football program's history when Richard Nixon, one of the most corrupt politicians in world history, visited your game. Arkansas. Do you want to say, man, it's beautiful here, but no one reads? Arkansas. Do you also want to feel like, when are we going to win something? Arkansas. Do you like Jerry Jones, but wonder why he doesn't spend more of his money there? Arkansas. And he spends a lot there, but there's my pitch for Arkansas.
Has anyone ever woke up and said, man, I just want to play for Sam Pittman? I mean, he seems like a nice guy,
Yeah.
but
It's just I think that's part of the problem, especially in the SEC.
Yeah.
Like if you're going after that talent and it's, now it's Kalen DeBoer, but it's like Kirby Smart and Josh Heupel and Lane Kiffin and all these guys rolling in the room, like Jimbo Fisher, who's a really good recruiter, until a year ago. Like these guys, and it's like, hi, Sam Pittman here.
every Saturday you got to roll the dice and you might run into the Huckabee family.
Yeah. Oh no, good to see you again. Thought you'd have something to do. Well, I'm glad you're here, I guess.
How's that late night show going, Mike?
All right, we'll do one more, and then we got to get to the last segment. All right.
Spin that wheel.
Spin it again. That we dubbed
Spin
up.
the wheel.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Are you okay with being at the center of all things wrong at college football? If you have no moral compass and, are in love with the idea of a coach who's prone to raging on an 82-year-old man for weeks at a time. Look, you're going to win a lot of games, but you may not feel good about it.
And there's only one game that matters.
Yeah, yes. There's only one game. Are you ready to turn to your fan base after being 11-0 and losing a game by a single possession to your arch rival Michigan and then having them go, you're all dead to me until next year? Columbus, Ohio, where only one game matters. Now with a 12-team playoff, say you won 7 national championships in a row, but lost to Michigan 7 times in a row. Knowing your fans are going to be like, happy that we have 7 national championships, but we keep losing to Michigan. Yeah. I know it's not supposed to be as important anymore, but
Still is to us.
it still matters to me. That one's tough. Neilio. I already cursed once. Or twice. I can't do it a third time, but it was good.
Have you ever wanted an NIL deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets?
Do you want to hear back from the old timers about how you could have won a national title if the NCAA didn't care about free tattoos? That one, of all the things that have ever happened in college football, scandals, that's the one to me that seems the most absurd now looking back on it.
That's probably fair.
Like, you know, like when you think about Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back, like, you know, you're like, oh, they got an extra benefit. And you're like, well, they got tattoos for free. Like, it's not like, you know, you can be like that right there and like, oh, well, now that you have that, here's a free car too. If you hadn't gotten that tattoo, out of it.
Yeah, great job cracking down on that one.
Yeah. That's what, like, I remember thinking, like, man, Jim Tressel lied about that, and he's been, like, the guy who's written all these books about, like, how to be the upstanding coach. But I totally get it, because he's like, I mean, can this just go away? Like, you know, he probably, like, honestly, I don't think had it been, like, a free car or, like, one of those things that, like, would have been a really big deal, I don't think he would have lied about it. I think he lied about it because he's like, this is dumb.
Yeah, nobody cares. They're not going to look into this.
Like, you can't take it away from him. I mean, you could, but it's like, you know, 15 weeks of like burning off one layer at a time, very slowly and painfully. I don't know. When we come back, Stephen and I go, why, God, why did the Cowboys re-sign Zeke? What's their plan? This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. Paul Catalina, Stephen Simcox, Garrett Ross, Emery Winter's here, Jack McKenzie is here. I hope you guys enjoyed that last segment. We're going to do more stuff. We got a wheel, so
Yeah, we can do some rapid fire stuff with that.
yeah, I mean it. Cost me a little bit of bread, so spin the crap out of it.
You use it, yeah.
Look, I've been doing the top fives over here now by the Vibe because we've never really used it as much as we can. So now we're going to use this thing. I'm going to get some mileage out of this sucker.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So before Kim Coulter, Paul, answer that before I leave. It's because Jarrett is a senile old fool who still believes he's the smartest guy in the room, but the room is empty. But Zeke Elliott is back with the Cowboys.
Sure.
And, like, I get the party line of, well, you know, we need to do this. Like, I heard Will McClay on Sirius NFL radio today, and he was like, look, it's running back by committee now, and it sounds – the thing is, I would believe him more if they hadn't have just done this same exact thing a few years ago before they traded for Amari Cooper. When they were like, oh, I mean, the quarterback's good enough, you know, he'll make the receivers better. And then, like, they got through the first 4 games of the season or so, and they're like, yeah, we weren't right about that. We got to go trade some draft picks and get Amari Cooper, you know. And then we're going to trade Amari Cooper for a draft pick that's well below what his market value is. So this is all like them tying themselves to Zeke. Like, this is all part of the same cycle that really started back before they traded for Amari Cooper. And I feel like it's probably something that might happen again. Like they're going to sit there and they'll go through training camp. I think Zeke's going to be with the team all year. I think Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn will be with the team all year. But it would not surprise me if somebody like Izzy Abanaconda came available from the Jets, who's a young player who showed in spurts that he had some talent, but they just drafted Braylon Allen and so if somebody like that, a young running back, comes available or is there, then they're going to wind up having to trade a draft pick for him anyway.
I mean, it can be running back by committee, but if the committee sucks, that's not very helpful.
Yeah.
This is just not – it doesn't seem like a tenable situation. Now, the problem you run into as well is you mentioned those guys. I think that would make sense. You can't really you can trade for running back, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. I guess you wouldn't have to give as much compensation for it. But this Zeke thing to me, it just feels like getting back with an old flame when you don't want to download Hinge again. Like you're just like, all right, I'll just text this person. They're probably available. We know each other well. It'll be pretty seamless. It's not going to work. I think Zeke, I did look at his numbers. I was a little bit pleasantly surprised. He had slightly better than I thought in New England. But the Cowboys, I know they like Dak Prescott. I think Dak is a good quarterback. He has some limitations. But Paul, at his best, he's functioned at his best when he's had a good rushing attack.
Yeah.
A balanced offense. And you can be running back by committee, but if you can't run the ball consistently, then you're going to have issues. And this is also not a team that has just a super potent receiving class as well right now. So I'm not sure what the plan is here, but other than the good vibes of just kind of getting back with a guy who is a good locker room presence and I'm sure has a ton of friends in Dallas and at the Star, I don't see the appeal of going and getting Zeke Elliott again.
Yeah. No, I don't understand it. I also don't understand it to the end of you decided not to draft a running back because you knew you were going to bring Zeke back. And you've admitted that. And like you say, he's a starting running back in the league, but we're running back by committee. Like we have tried and failed with this before at the wide receiver position. You should know that. And you should also
well, and you just gave this guy up because you paid him like a lead running back.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, you decided he wasn't that dude anymore.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, Tony Pollard's better. And then that didn't work. And so now you're like, well, let's just get Zeke back. And I know it's not on the same terms, but it's the same role in some ways.
Yeah. Look, they missed his touchdowns. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gone away. So that'll be good. But and look, he's getting $2 million. So if his role is to get first downs on third and short and score in the red zone and pass block, then fine. But I don't think you're going to dominate the running game and be able to do that. Especially, look, it also puts a lot on Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton or Brock Hoffman, who, if Cooper Beebe's not ready to start necessarily at center, although KT Levison told us he probably would be. Mm-hmm. And Cooper Beebe, my favorite pick of their draft. But, Cooper Beebe is why it's so hard for me to dog Kansas State. But Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton both are rookies. If you have really good rookie years, Tyler Smith had a really good rookie year, but he still had his problems, you know. And look, they're going to have a really solid line, but it's Zach Martin and four guys who, have a combined 8 years of experience in the league, between them. So it's not ideal, when you talk about a veteran line. Look, Zach Martin makes a lot of things better, but
it's not an offensive line that you're like, oh, we can just plug anybody in the backfield and run. And it's not an offense or a creative rushing attack like Mike McDaniel or Kyle Shanahan, where you're just like, oh yeah, you just put anybody back there, and because you have weapons elsewhere and because of the creative ways that they run the football, you can find ways to get yardage. So I don't really see the vision here.
Yeah. And look, one of the people, I guarantee you, when one of those running backs from the Dolphins get cut, the Cowboys are probably going to have to kick the tires on them because the Dolphins have, Raheem Mostert, who's not going anywhere, Devin Achane, who's not going anywhere, and Jalen Wright, who they're not going to let go of. And then they'll probably keep four because it's a big deal, but then that means, Jeff Wilson and a couple other guys, there's probably guys that the Cowboys are going to have to take a flyer on because the whole running back room is kind of a flyer right now. And while I think that Deuce Vaughn could maybe make some special things happen, he's not probably built to be an every down back. Like he's
No, he's not.
He's the next Darren Sproles, which is going to be great. Like if he is, but again, you're not going to he might have 100 yards rushing in a game, but he might have, 2 40-yard runs that happen, And so, yeah, I think they really messed up by not getting Derrick Henry, but
I think so too.
Yeah.
He wanted to be there, so.
And again, they're in this position because they're somehow adverse to giving extensions before you absolutely have to. And that's just asinine. That's just asinine. All right, Stephen, I had fun today. I hope the viewers had fun. I hope they enjoyed that segment. So, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Nope, there's nothing else we need to get to on the chat. Stephen, I so enjoy your presence when you're here. This is my
thanks,
formal
Paul.
goodbye. May your travels be merry and your travails be low.
Appreciate that, sir.
So thanks to Garrett, Emery, and Jack. Today on the show, we got Dan Wetzel today.
Yep.
On the show. I don't know who else.
Byron Vaughn's,
Cowboy right now, former Baylor defensive
and I
end.
haven't seen anybody else.
Yeah,
yet.
so we have Dan Wetzel and Byron Vaughn's, and we'll have some other ones here. This will be today. We're all together. Tomorrow's Smokey's birthday, so he won't be here. So that means we got to get cake for him on Friday. That's a whole thing. But yeah, so tomorrow's Smokey's birthday, and is today the day he announces the Academic All-Stars? Is he?
Not sure, honestly.
Okay. Usually he does that on May 1st. So anyway, that's coming up in an hour, and we will talk to you then. This is 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need